an overview way. The startup meaning is either some people may be interested towards the nanoscience research and towards the career aspects, and someone may have an idea of entrepreneurship. So in that way, I consider this may be provoking your thoughts towards in that aspects too. So let me go on to the presentation. So coming to the history and introduction. See, as you know, the birth of nanoscience is considered to be as Michael Faraday's contribution, as he has done the colloidal gold nanoparticles. So that he is a scientific physicist, I mean, a scientific researcher, so that he has he has given the nanoscience concept to the world, it seems. And I have a second opinion on it also. However, a few centuries back, the people who belong to Roman and of course maybe our own Tamil people may also having kind of practices of using this nano particle in the medicinal aspects, as you know that, right? Siddhas and all those things, metal nanoparticles and all those things. Maybe they may be used in a colloidal form. Of course, it is that is also to be considered. I want to record that one. And second thing, by subsequently the Irwin Muller, who has invented this field emission microscope, that paved the way to go for other nanoscience growth. And ultimately, the Richard Feynman, as you know, he has delivered a talk on plenty of rooms at the bottom. He has given or he has narrated such a nanoscience concept to the entire part of the world. That is what that provokes the other people to look into it. And ultimately, the Noria Taniguchi, he has derived the term called nanotechnology. And of course, after the further inventions of nanotubes by Sumio Ejima, and nowadays it was getting grown in a larger way, right? So if you look at the slide, it was extends up to various different fields. It does not stays in a single like either the physics or chemistry or something like that. It extends the entire field of science. So that is a major thing or major important thing to be considered for that. And if you look into the growth of nanotechnology, it starts from 1970. It is actually which it looks into a basic research. Say, for example, the passive materials. Of course, you know that the natural material, which can also be generated in an environment. So, like a cosmode particles or particulate matters, and all those things that can be seen in the atmosphere. No, so this is all about that can give you the basic idea of nanomaterials or something like that. And ultimately, it subsequently it grows into applied research by utilization of the materials in an active form in the sense either it may be used in physical aspects or chemical aspects or in maybe of biological aspects. They come to know that one. And ultimately, and second, in other way, it was the growth was extends into formation of devices. No, so the devices, it may have a functional one, right? So it has to fulfill such kind of functions. It may be in various applications. It may be in medicine or some other things or something like that. And of course, it may be get rapid advancement in future generations in altering in a molecular things. I mean, nearly of atomic environment or something like that. By alteration in atomic level, so that the further the growth was extends in this way. So look at the ultimate growth of nanotechnology. It starts from a basic research in the century, and ultimately it enters into the market. See, the research should come out with any kind of a product, right? So the product should be served to the mankind, or it may be used for any other purposes like other things, right? So that is a concept of the nanotechnology which is getting emerging in the current centuries. Of course, you know very well about this nano. I don't want to give much more things about it. And of course, now the how small is nano? Of course, you can say in this way the millionth of millimeter or a billionth of meter, that you know very well. And how big is nano? You consider here the ratio of earth per football is almost equal to that of a ratio of football per fullerene. It is really amazing to understand in this aspect, like metaphoric way. So how much nanoscience influenced, or how much the sizes which plays a major role. So you have to think in this aspect that how big is nano, right? You have to think it in other aspects too. And you look at here, the serological, I mean, it starts from the atom and enter into, suppose here mentioned that Empire State Building, which is about some approximately like 381,000 millions of nanometer tall. But of course, it starts from a zero point 0.1 nanometer and it extends. Say, for example, if it is, say, for the man or a girl, it approximate height of 5 feet, it may have a 1,500 million nanometer tall. You can express in this way, but point is that I understood in a biological aspect, biological way. I used to say that to my students. So the whatever the material, whatever the things which is building blocks of nanometer level. Say for example here, it is nothing but a protein. You know that protein, the importance of the protein, right? The application, I mean, the sense, the importance of the protein is nothing but building of your body. It is considered to be as a bodybuilders, right? So if you cut or extract the protein and extract out of your body, it is approximately of 10 nanometer in sizes. Say maybe you may be well aware of hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is what? It is an ion which is coupled with that of a pigment with that of a protein, hemoglobin, right? So approximately it is in the nano ranges, right? So that is the what is that? The size which plays a major role. Typically, in another way, you can say that a small thing which is getting nucleated into a big one, right? So, so the small is always a bigger one, and it is a building material or building blocks of entire things, right? That is what I want to say here. So look at here. Yes, your fingernail grows of about 1 nanometer every second. So the other way, the man beard grows up to 5 nanometers every second. It is really astonishing to see it in this aspect, no? And look at here the hair, which is the material, the nano silver ring, which is stay on the human hair, which is ultimately which is really that much small is that, and of course it may has some kind of a potential aspects, no, to look into that aspect. If you want to classify the nano materials, you can say it in that 0-dimensional, 1-dimensional, and 2-dimensional, 3-dimensional, right? So if you, as you know, the 0-dimensional, which is all whatever the dimensions, all the dimensions were seen in nanoscale level, nanoscale, which is about 1 to 100 nanometers on size. If it is in a one-dimensional nanomaterial, two of the dimensions were at nanoscale, and one dimension is about the macro scale, right? So either you look at the nanofibers or nanotubes or nanorods or something like that. And if you other way, the two-dimensional nanomaterials, it may have a one dimension at the nanoscale and the other two dimensions at the macro scale. Either the x-axis and y-axis may be of what is that? It may be in macro scale. And if you look at the z-axis, like thickness of your material, it is in a nano dimensions, nano level, or it may be in the range of 1 to 100 nanometer or something like that. If you think in other three-dimensional nanomaterials, which is all about to say about it is in the macro scale, right? Either it may be composed of all the nanomaterials, but however, it is considered to be as a macro scale in level, nothing but the three-dimensional one, right? So here the morphology of a material, say for example, 1-dimensional, 0-dimensional, which is all about just to show the morphology uh, to to express. And you know the nanoscale. Nanoscale is about either it may be falls under 1 to 1000 nanometer. However, between the 1 and nanometer, which may have a potential properties, right? You know that whenever the size reduction is, you can see the potentialities or the properties is getting changed or altered. Either it may be a physical property or chemical or biological materials. You can say it in various aspects, like nano scale can be a tiny, minute, or something like that. So it depends on you. But however, nano represents the size, right? We have to give the exact term. So whatever the property, right? I can say that whenever the size of the material is getting reduced and their surface area volume ratio is getting increased, right? As a biological point of view, I can make you to understand in such a way that, say for example, the first figure is said to be as a candy, and the last one is said to be as a somewhat the size is reduced size of a sugar. And if you look into that size of the material, the surface area volume ratio is getting is larger in case of a small powder, and of course it reflects in the solubility, and of course it will reflects in the reaction with that of a solvent. How does it happen? Obviously, whenever you go into a deep of a reduction of your size, ultimately the reaction is better because it get exposed. It is nothing but the naked one, because the surface energy is very free to interact with the other thing. So that is a property of a thing. So that the surface area volume is getting raised. So when you think here to express or to see or to address in a mathematical way of expression, suppose you consider that a cube which length of about 1 centimeter in size, side length is about 1 centimeter. What may be the total surface area? So as you know that 6 sides were there for the cube, and other one is the length of is said to be as 1 centimeter, 1 into 1. Of course, the is said to be as the total surface area is said to be as 6. And suppose the same thing you can consider for add on your height into the cube. So you just consider that it is said to be as a 1 as a total volume. So you just extends up to 2 centimeter, and it may give you 24 or 8 and 3 if it is in case, and it gives you the 54 and 27. And of course, if it is 4, and it gives you the 96, and of course, if it is a 4, let's say again the centimeter, I mean the length of a side, which gives you the volume of 64. What is the inference of out of it? See, look at the picture here. The size, I mean, the length of a material is getting larger and larger, and ultimately the surface area volume ratio is decreased. Whenever in a reciprocal way, the size is getting reduced here, the surface area volume ratio is higher. So of course, the various shapes of a molecule may have a different surface area volume ratio. That is apart. But still, here you consider about the cube, and it gives you. I want to say here that mathematically, it is. It's validating the surface area volume ratio is getting larger when you decrease your size of any material. That is the concept here. That is what here also it mentioned. Whatever the bigger material may have a smaller surface area, and if it is a compartmentalized of a small, I mean the big material, it may have a larger surface area. So that is what the thing. So, and apart from that, you may be having a various different shapes of a material, and each and every material may have a unique properties. Either if it is a fibrous materials or rod-like or one-dimensional material, it may have some kind of aspect ratio changes. And suppose if you reduce your sizes of any material, it exhibits its different color and their wavelength. That is also one of the important thing. And based upon that, the applications may also varies, right? So look at here, the people. I have a discussion on this one is, so earlier, early ancient people, they may not be knowing of any kind of organic dyes or which give you the natural dyes or whatever the dyes, no. So they may not be aware of all those things, but they have done with the tougher metals, right? It tells us the era of a metal era, which drive them to go for further modification in their size of metal, and ultimately it exhibits its different color. So suppose a gold nanoparticle is about 25 nanometer, which gives you the ruby color, and of course if it is 100 nanometer, it's said to be as orangish or golden in that orange color. And the same silver is also like that. And if subsequently the property is getting changed. That is what I want to mention here. So you may be well aware of all this liquor gas cup. You may be, what is that? You cannot avoid this example for this optical property of a particular material. Say, as you know, during those days, they have been used kind of gold petty materials, and it was, I mean, coated on the cup, and which gives you the, what is that, reflected lights, which gives you the green in color, and when it is getting refracted, and ultimately it shows you the ruby in color. So it is all about to know the aspects of nano properties is getting changed, and accordingly the application is also can be widespread. That is what I want to say here. You may be looking into the textile aspects. So some of the textile industry or textile applications. So mostly you cannot avoid this lotus effect, you know. So, as you know, it is all, which is the water cannot be stored on the leaf. It cannot be, it can't be wettable. So what happens is ultimately it, what is that? It does not provide you wettable thing. So that is because of the nature of presence, because it stays in the water, and ultimately it should not cover your, I mean, water should not cover on the things, and or otherwise the dust particles may be stored on the surface so that it will affect your, I mean, photosynthesis. So the nature which derives such kind of things, and ultimately this the natural way of things that helps to mimic into other materials like super hydrophobicity. The scientific people, they have named it for as that super hydrophobicity, right? So actually the super hydrophobicity, which is all about the three important properties or principle or something like that. So what is the surface energy and surface tension of a water molecule, and apart from the geometrical position, right? So when you are not giving any kind of a what is that I mean the water to stay or wettable, so that can be determined by means of a contact angle, right? So when it is said to be the water molecule on the surface, if it is 90 degree or less than that of 90 degree, you can say that it's a hydrophilic in nature. It is nothing but a wettable one, right? So if it is a 90 degree, it's a partial one. And if it is larger of 90 degree, you can say that when you keep on increasing of contact angle, at least ultimately it gives you the super hydrophobicity. So it won't stay on the I mean the material or surface or something like that. So based upon mimicking this kind of a lotus effect or super hydrophobicity, and the material may be used for some many purposes like textile industries. So look at here, that won't the coffee, it won't be stay on the surface, so that you may be avoiding the stain of a coffee or a tea or a honey or whatever material, right? Really, it is a amazing thing that is such kind of innovations can be mimicked via the nanotechnology. That is what my aim is to tell. Say, for example, I used to see this see this video, obviously, to see an appealing manner. So that is what I want to show the video for you people. Maybe, hopefully, many of the people see, if you are a nanoscience people, you may be seeing all these kind of things before, but still, I want to show it. At least I want to see it. See, it does not give you the protrudence of Yes, of course. If you look at this, it's a ever dry, right? Ever dry. Say it prevents the wettability because of the surface tension of the molecule. It is a reciprocal way because the water molecule itself it is having a capacity of holding a surface water molecule towards inside. So that is also one of the important thing that plays a major role in understanding that one. And apart from that, the protrudeness of this nano material which does not allow the water molecule to stay or wettable or something like that. So that is what, if you look into such kind of things to making a, what is that, the textile or fabric material that can be improvised in utilization of various aspects, no? So, that is the other thing. And second, apart from that, you know that the fabric of the CNT fabric, say for example, it can be used for making up a warm, what is that, arming purposes or something like that, arm protection or something like that. So the fibers which can be woven completely and so that it gives you the stronger and can be a lighter one, right? So when usually the Kevlar material, which is a polymer material, which can be used for making these things, and if nowadays the research says that the coupling of this CNT along with that of a Kevlar material, so that it enhances the property of retention of your bullets, so that it can prevent your bullets even too. And when you see that the bullet can be strikes on the woven material, nothing but the fiber, which is tightly woven here, and the energy can be once if it touches to the oven and ultimately it dissipates to the entire part of other oven, there won't be kind of an impact to the wearing person. So that is a thing which is the strongest material that can repel the bullet even. So look at here, the various stocks of arrangement of woven that can prevent the bullet, and ultimately it deforms the bullet even. So that shows the strength and other what is that and strength of the particular material or something like that. So this is now that can be the people the near future ultimately the cost effective production of nano materials can be utilized in a fabric so that the de-stained fabric can be used, and of course the water resistant material, so that it can keep it as ever dry, and there won't be any kind of what is that other this contamination of any microalgal growth or something else, microorganism growth on the things, because it requires a water for their growth. In such a way, you can make such kind of ideal fabrics by utilizing this principle of hydrophobic or something like that. And of course you may be it can be act as a self-cleaning effect and or a defogging effect. So because when you put on kind of a hydrophobic material on the layer of mirror, so that it can prevent in some other way, it can prevent what is that of any kind of accident or something like that. So, in other part is said to be as the cosmetic industry. See, the cosmetic industry is the current boom industry. Of course, it can be considered this industry as a fast-moving consumer good industry. Maybe it may be the material may be of a cheaper one, but the demand is too high, and the sale is also high. So that the nanotechnology implementation in the cosmetic field is really it is increasing day by day by various ways, like it may be of a liposome, or it may be of a capsules, or it may be of polymer materials surrounded or something like that. It extends in various aspects, but still the sunscreen material, say for example the important thing, uh, most of the people have been using for this face screen, no, sunscreen lotions. So those kind of lotions can be prevent the UV rays. What is UV? UV rays almost which is present in the sun, and ultimately which maybe it triggers your what is that? Triggers your what is that? Harmful to the skin, and ultimately in tan it can be able to produce this melanin pigment, and ultimately it gets into tan. right? The skin is getting tanned or something like that. Some kind of the same other UV B, I mean the other type of UV, and it can also impregnate into your skin too. Say for example UVA, which may be impregnate into up to the dermis layer, and ultimately it really it may reaches to your lymphatic systems. So for example, the UVB, which may be impact on the epidermal layer of your skin. So what is this is so the impact of UV is ultimate in turn into tanning of your skin by making up more of melanin, because the melanin pigment, which may be helpful in to prevent all those things, that is also regresses, and so that you become very tanned or become dark or something like that. So, as I said already, it's the UV, it may be go deep into the skin, and ultimately it generates the free radicals. Say, for example, the metabolic reactions is happening in a cells, as you know. So, it may be generating the large of free radicals when it gets disturbed, no? So, because the physical barrier ultimately destroys your DNA. DNA is ultimate for everything, no? So, the DNA, without the DNA, there won't be kind of a replication, there won't be any kind of a metabolism. Ultimately the cell won't be grow enough, right? So the cell won't be in a proper function, so it may generate a maximum of free radicals. These free radicals, what happens ultimately, it developed into even a cancer or something like that, because it can go and bind with the neighbor cells, and ultimately damage the neighbor cells, and results in cancers or something like that. It is a, say for example, a skin cancer or something like that. And that can be prevented by applying some kind of a material on the surface of the skin, so that you can avoid the tanning, or some more deeply you can prevent you from the harmful environments. And as you know, now the industry is under practice of using the chemical sunscreens and other thing. Chemical sunscreens, they may be capability of absorbing the material, and as a result of absorption, it may be generating of heat, and ultimately it stops your other what is that, other metabolic functions or something like that. So it may not be a feasible one to make them into an alternate way. The sunscreens may be can be utilized with that of a nano material, so that that can reflect your UV back out of your on the surface of your skin or something like that. So obviously, when you compare to that of a chemical sunscreening, the nano materials, which will be a apt one to be utilized in a cosmetic industry, particularly of sunscreens or something like that. So look at here, the mineral ingredients are nothing but the zinc oxide, titanium dioxides, and this chemical ingredients or something like that. Even the chemical ingredients may be under various what is that? Various. I mean, sorry. Long back it was used only with the chemical ingredients. However, now the utilization of these nanomaterials in cosmetics, say for example here, is really boomed nowadays. And how it is getting preventing, say for example, micron size zinc nanomaterial, same zinc oxide materials, it can be what is that, it can allow the UV light in pass into the skin, since it is a larger area or something like that, so that it allows the UV light into the skin. However, whereas the ZNO, I mean zinc oxide nanoparticles, which will prevent us because of its size, and as well as the material nature itself, it gets deflected out, right? The reflected material can be, sorry, the UV rays can be reflected outside. So the zinc oxide nanomaterials is said to be as an ideal one or something like that. And of course, so you may be just an example, I mean showing how does the photons enters when there is no sunscreen. And if it is in case of SPF 15 sunscreen, say SPF is in the sense sun protection factor. 15 is about the rating of particular thing, and of course it can able to protect you to enter of UV rays of 93%, and of course SPF 30 is about producing this 97% protections. So this can be branded with that of by showing the star value and sun protection factors. You look at here, it maybe starts from 2 SPF, 15 SPF, and 30 and 50 and go on, right? So whereas in case of 30, so ideal one thing which can be prevent the 97, I mean, can be prevented 97% of UV rays. So it is considered to be as a SPF of, it can be considered to be as an ideal one. Suppose look at the ratings as per the SPF, it is considered to be as a minimum, moderate, good, superior, and ultra, or something like that. And likewise, I have a difference of opinion as being as a biologist. So if it is in a 15% or 20 or 30 or 60 or whatever it is, it shows you the prevention of UV in on the skin, you know. So ultimately, it serves to protect you from the tanning. But whereas the UV rays is also needed for the thing. So into selection or of a particular material, say obviously the people are the people maybe happen to choose maximum SPF value, right? Obviously, I would say that you may not be I mean, I can suggest you that you please don't go for it for a SPF 60 or something like that, because you should not protect the entire UV also in the bodily systems, because as you know, the UV rays which maybe fall onto the skin ultimately which will be reflects on the whatever the what is that which will be react on our metabolisms too, because the vitamin D is an important material that can be synthesized via the UV rays of your body, right? This vitamin D, which will be reflecting this building up of your calcium materials into the body. So most of the, I mean, what is that? Osteoarthritis or osteoporosis patients, they will be asked to go and stand on the sun. That is because of the, we have to increase in production of vitamin D, so that indirectly it will be a mediator to increase the calcium efficiency. Okay. So in that aspects, to counterpoint it, I suggest that you can go of SPF 30 or 20 or something like that, because it has protected some 95%. Why should you want to protect the entire thing or something like that? No. So that is what about the SPF versus of whatever the material, whatever they agree, the FDA was approved or something like that. So you know, various things were there, the industries were started producing, and of course it is now under vigorous application in various fields. Say for example, L'Oreal, Revlon, and so on, other many cosmetic industries or something like that. This is the other one. They may be using this kind of what is that, SPF 50 of material, so that can protect well, and it gives you. What they do is they couple with that of titanium oxide, so that gives you the what is that the color can be exact. I mean. What is that? So when you retain your tanning effect, so that you will be enhancing your color, right? So that is a background score for it. And of course, the nail care and aesthetic is, so sometimes like the material that can be used for uh, polish the nail. It is not only for the aesthetic purposes, and of course, it is a thermochromic one based upon the heating. It can be changed its color, and of course, you can also consider that it as an indicator that how does your metabolism is going on well or something like that. And ultimately, of course, the environment of heat of, I mean, the outside temperatures may also be influencing that one. And apart from the aesthetic sense, you can also resist shock or cracking, scratching, and chipping of the nail. It can prevent this kind of things, because if you look at to the people, they may be malnourished people. They may not having a healthy nail. No, so that can be preventable by just adding of some kind of this nanoparticles on the in a nail polish, so that it can be helpful for it. And apart from that, the silver nanoparticles may also be helpful for other purposes by preventing the microorganisms, because it is accumulating area, right? The nail particles, the microorganism may be staying in the staying in the nail, so that it gives you the any kind of fungal infection. So that can also be removed by just adding of silver materials onto that. So in that way, you have to think it in holistically, and you can make such kind of. I mean, you can add on your hypothesis to prevent any kind of a so to make it such kind of a good products or something like that. And apart from that, they may be using this nanosomes of pro-retinol A. The retinol A is nothing but the vitamin part, and that can be involved. Say, for example, it may be considered to be as produced like a liposomes. So what happens is this when it is grow on the surface. I mean, sorry, appeal. I mean, sorry. Um, Apply on the skin or something like that, it may be influencing, it may be act as a moisturizer, and it prevents the wrinkling effect, right? So because whenever when you're getting old and older, so the wrinkling of skin is a ultimate indicator for aging, no? So that can be preventable, or that can be altered by producing such kind of pro-retinol A with that of a nanosome or nanomaterials or something like that. You can make as such. So what happens is it can influence with that of a melanogenesis, nothing but the melanin pigment. So it can prevent the what is that the tanning effect, and of course it inhibits the metalloproteinases. The proteinases which will be deteriorating your collagen. Ultimately, when you go into the skin or ultimate for the body, or it is considered to be as a matrix for the entire structure of a body, right? Which is nothing but the protein. So when the proteinase enzyme, which will be act on more on the skin, ultimately it will be break down your collagen so that your skin will be getting wrinkled. So that can be preventable when in case of a what is that by preventing the metalloproteinases by adding of pro-retinol here through the nano technology or nano size materials. Why does it? Because the nano, as you know, that it can be impregnated in a skin very well, and ultimately it can the property is enhanced rather by just using the pro-retinol A in a cream or something like that. And of course, not only the cosmetic aspects, and of course the personal care products also there. Say for example, this the Theramed is a industry which is able to produce kind of this calcium phosphate nanoparticles considered to be as a apatite, hydroxyapatite. You know, natural thing, natural one. It mimics the exact the materials of your that what is that dental material, right? So that can be achievable. That can also be improves your mineralization of your what is that the tooth material, so that it glows well. And when you use of kind of what is that along with that of silver and titanium oxides, which is become as a multifunctional way. Say for example, the hydroxyapatite material that can be used to fill the cavities or dendrites happen in the in tooth, and at the same time the silver may help us to prevent the microorganism growth in the mouth, so that you can feel the freshness of your mouth because of the killing of all bacteria. And the other way, the titanium dioxide, the whitener, it gives you the glow to just a glowing of your tooth, which gives you the white pigment because resembles your whiteness. So that can also be seen, and it becomes a multifunctional one. And moreover, it is a aesthetically that improves your look also, right? Nano gold energizing cream, that is nothing but you are just going the taking off this kind of energizing cream. It can improve your the natural protein and acts as a moisturizing antioxidant and anti-inflammatory materials when you apply on the skin or something like that. That can promote your healing and healing environment. Say if suppose say for example, some kind of rashes may happen after wound was, right? So because of healing, it may be you can see the kind of scars is happening, no? So that can also be preventable along when you use kind of a nano gold energizing cream, so that which will be healing it perfectly, so that it cleaves away all your the other unwanted radicals seen in the skin during the what is that regeneration of your skin or something like that. And of course, even in hair care, the people have been using nanomaterials. Say, for example, the sericin nanoparticles that can be used for making the what is that to prevent the cuticles of a hair, to prevent the damaging of a cuticle from the hair. So what happens is it can promote whatever the materials, the nanoparticles that when you apply on the hair, that can be improves your the surface, the just sealing of all your damaged hair, damaged cuticles on the hair. Ultimately, it refreshes after treatment. that can prevent the damage, and ultimately it cures the damage also. So the resin nanoparticles have been using for hair care purposes or something like that. So if you keep on thinking on and the top 10 cosmetic companies, so most of the companies have started using various nano related things, and have also filed a patent for many materials. So like L'Oreal, maybe you may be well aware of it, and Procter and Gamble, and of course what is that, Johnson and Johnson, and so on. So the cosmetic thing is really a booming sector in a when you couple this nano science or nanotechnology for the industrial growth or something like that. That may be a real having a real impact on the buying a product or something like that. So when you think of an environment, of course, the environment is also important thing to look after such kind of protecting environment via the nano materials. Say, for example, the photocatalyst. You know, right? So, what is the photocatalyst does, right? So, whatever the material, just it's going to be absorb the light, and ultimately, the surface material, it is getting the electrons are getting extra excited, and ultimately the electrons are liberated. I mean, it generates an oxidizing agent, nothing but an free radical, right? So this either the negative electron or positive hole or something like that. They call it as a negative electron and positive hole, and is considered to be as an oxidizing agent. Nothing but they call it in other ways that free radical. Free radical is what? Ultimately, it is nothing but an unstable molecule. They want themselves to become a stable molecule. Obviously, it may go and interact with that of pollutants or whatever the neighboring environment, the material, no? So it will go and react with that one. Ultimately, it changes into a harmful material into disharmful material. So it can be applied for many kind of pollutions, polluting environments, like and of course the water purification point and deodorization and soil proof and sterilization aspects. You look at how does the air purification may happens. See, suppose say for example, we may be as a biologist, or you if you may be having a such kind of a what is that experience. When you go into the biological lab, you may be seeing all air curtains to filter all your air, and of course whatever the microorganisms that was used inside the laboratory, that will be sucked out via the vent duct, and ultimately it will be stored away, or it will be kept away. It will be put it under atmosphere, or went out with in the atmosphere or something like that. But in case if it is under too much of a harmful organism like viruses and other funguses, say for example, whatever the virology lab which is handling this COVID-19, if you spread out this kind of a thing into the atmosphere, ultimately it's going to be most worst, no? So scenario may be a worst case. So that can be preventable via the HEPA filter. So they call it as a various safety cabinets were there to filter out all your materials when it goes out from the laboratory to outside. What happens to the filter? It does not just, it's going to be filter your viruses or whatever the material in the filter, but ultimately there won't be any kind of use. It stays there itself. If you happen to do all kind of a service, when you go for any kind of service or something like that, happen to get chance of infection. So that can be preventable in case if it is coated with a photocatalyst of titanium oxides. What happens is that may generate, obviously the light is needed for it, and what happens is when you facilitate such a kind of environment, say for example the filter which will be filtering all these kind of things, either you can make such kind of fibers which is having a photocatalytic activity, so that it can be a multifunctional one, so that you can do such kind of innovative product or something like that. And apart from that, you may be seeing kind of pollutions. See, it can be considered as a photoremediation. So it can be involved in I mean bioremediation of environment. So this picture was actually taken a few days back. That was happened in a Marina Beach. With unknowingly, these people have been taking all these selfie photographs with the contaminated water. Say, for example, contaminated sea. Really, it is astonishing because of the high anthropogenic activity and industrialization. As a result, they don't know how to handle this kind of pollutants to the atmosphere, in the atmosphere. They don't know. Actually, they are, what is that? Lack of knowledge on it. They may not be knowing of what kind of things that happened in a water or environment or something like that. See here, the water pollutant can be happened because of what is that effluent of tannery or dyeing industry or whatever it is, that can be seen because of, I mean, huge of death. Not only the death of the particular organisms in the particular environment, it is also, it reflects, it goes on in a food chain of various organisms, right? Not suppose the plant system, it will be taking all your dyes and it can accumulate into the plant system, or this plant can be taken up by any kind of animals. That can be animals, through animals that we can taking that animal as a feed food. So what, it can be transferred to our things. But because of that, the dye is most dye and other the pollutants, which is really a harmful one to the environment. So that can be preventable in case of this photo remediation uh, via the photo catalyst or something like that. So that is very, that can be done. And of course, the decolorization of effluent is also important thing, that it can also change the based on the mechanism of photocatalyst or something like that. Just decolorizing of your dyes, because the dye is really a harmful one. Unless it is getting it is not neutralized, it stays in your body for a long time, and it is really a harmful one, right? And likewise, of course, it may also influence in self-cleaning purposes. Say, for example, what is that? The titanium coated material, nanoparticles may be coated on the surface of the building. So what happens is, it'll be help in reacting, so that when it exposed to the light, when it gets absorbed, right? Absorbed. I mean, sorry, absorb the light, and ultimately it prevents the other materials on the surrounding environment. It may be of dust, or it may be of any other chemicals or something like that, or it may be of a stains, or it may be of any other thing. So it can avoid of sticking on the, what is that other organisms too. Say, for example, I think you maybe have an experience that when you leave the water bucket for a while, for a week or 10 days or something like that, you just keep it as such. If you go and touch inside the water bucket, what you can feel, you can see that a slimy layer was formed on the surface of the thing, no? That is actually because of the bacteria which grows on the surface of the bucket actually. So this bacteria, which may provoke, which will be generating all kind of mucilaginous substances, so that it will attract all other organism growth, so that it will be destroys your building, it will be damaging your building by holding all your dust onto the particle on the surface, and likewise it spoils your entire material. So to prevent that, a kind of nanoparticles that can prevent you from the what is that I mean, they call it as what is that fouling, they call it as fouling, no? So suppose you just paint the material in the water environment. So what happens is, the material will be influencing this kind of adherence. So it stops the influence of adherence of your other organisms, so that it can be act as a self sterilization or something like that. Here why I want to say that it enhances the, what is that, self cleaning effect. And of course there won't be kind of a staining happens here. And ultimately the titanium itself, it is having a whitish in nature. Apart from other all these things, the whitish color itself, it reflects your heat energy away. That is a all, it's getting functional, and you can achieve the things, so that it can indirectly helps in the kind of remediation purpose or something like that. So coming to the food applications, the second largest and the other one is the second largest consuming products is said to be as the food, right? So because now I can say that it is not a second or something like that. I don't want to put it in a rating or something like that. Accordingly, here the food applications may be utilization of nano science and nanotechnology in a food is really appreciable, and it is getting boomed nowadays, and it is inevitable also. That is what I could understand from it. And in what way the nano science can be helped in food sector or something like that. This better packaging and of course improved storage, contamination sensor, and improving texture and flavor, additives that gives you the improves the taste, texture, and all those things, nutritional value and safety. So look at here, it can also promote your sustainable foods. Yeah, food is food, right? The food will give you the energy. Ultimately, it will go off away, right? It stays in your body for some time, but it may not be a sustainable one. Sustainable in the sense it does not apart from the junky items, you take all the junk items as such, and ultimately it spoils your health system. If it is adding up of your any kind of a nano capsules which may hold a nutritional value on the food, it can become as a sustainable food. It can be a medically beneficiary, which gives you the sustainable health also. So in that way, the people have been practicing in such kind of food production, and of course, the people started using this the emulsion technology in the ice cream production. So what happens is, see, if you are improvising or decreasing the size of the emulsion, what happens is utilizing of this fat material can be minimized, right? So because of adding of water, because the emulsion is of about saying about two miscible things can be coupled together, right? So what happens is it will improves your texture, and ultimately the reduction of fat can be enhanced, and ultimately the junk item can be considered as a health item or something like that, healthy or something like that. So in such way, so many emulsions have been used for making such kind of foods. And of course, apart from that, as you may be seeing all kind of advertisement, like we were adding the refined materials, whatever the what is that, mm, the vitamin A, B, sorry, A, D, E, K have been added in as additives in cooking oil, right? Because all are fat soluble, so that they want to adding all those things. Ultimately, what happens next? See, when you add on this cooking oil, you are going to fry it or whatever it is, it's going to be destroyed, right? It's going to be destroyed. So to prevent the destruction, you can add on like a nano capsules, so which can also be act like a it will access a nutraceutical aspects. So in how means, see, whatever the oil materials, you can add on such kind of what is that nutritive value materials like a capsules, and you can put it in oil, so that what happens is ultimately it can resist some heat energy, and it will be increasing your bioavailability. I'll say in later few slides later or something. And apart from that, in case of any kind of storage purposes, say for example, ultimately the food should be stored in kind of packaging or packaged, or you have to store in a thing, store the food itself. It should have some shelf life period, no? So that is a most important role, right? So such kind of polymer composites have been used with addition to that of silver, zinc, and magnesium oxides, so that can prevent your oxygen entry, so that the oxidation of food can be prevented, or you can indirectly say that the microorganism growth can also be prevented. So the hybrid materials that can be when it add with that of any kind of this polymers, when it add with that of a silica, it will be it will reduce your humidity in a material. So that is also one of the important things, because the most of the food spoilage was happened because of improper food storage, no? So when you are able to find out a kind of a good polymer which maybe resist this kind of humidity, so mostly the silica is a moisture absorber, right? So that when it is in case of a nano aspects, obviously the humidity will be can be kept away, and so that you can also prevent your food very better. And likewise, the same thing. Either it can be like what is that the barrier I mean, what the polymer material can be considered as a making up of your films or packing materials that can ultimately, which can be considered as oxygen barrier, and of course it will enhance your durability of a container, and of course it is said to be as a heat resistance too. So multifunctionally you can consider, or you can serve the food as a, I mean, store the food for a long time. And apart from that, nowadays the people are looking into the other aspects like smart packaging. See, whatever the material it is used for packing a material. So what happens is it will contain some calcium materials, maybe, right? So calcium can be impregnated on the polymer or something like that. So what happens is slowly it gets released into the, what is that? Whatever the food material which that can be released into the food, so it becomes into, what is that, the enhancement of your calcium molecules in a foodstuff can be used. That is also one of the important things. So likewise you are indirectly, or you can enhancing the calcium intrusion into the food material by just packing a material with impregnated with all other material like calcium or something like that, so that it will be helpful in sustainable health for whoever user. And apart from that, improved storage can be in other way that obviously you may be well aware of these silver nanoparticles may have a very good antibacterial activity, and of course antifungal activity and other activities too. But if you are coating these silver nanoparticles in the container so that it prevents your food from the spoilage of food spoilage, right? So that is what here I want to say that. And of course, now the people, the big companies like the Samsung, those people have been started using this one. What is that? The container which is made up of your what is that? Silver particles. So what happens is it will be resist your what is that? The microbial growth in the container, right? So that is the ultimate usage. The maximum usage of material is said to be as a silver, and now the practice of utilizing these silver particles in food sector is also getting increased. That is what I want to say here. And of course you may be seeing a very what is that, the various different type of a nano composite material, and their property is getting is considered to be as a food supplement, antibacterial, and all those things. And of course whatever the product which will come out as a product, that can be things. And of course zinc oxide, and of course say for example here the lycopene is a small pigment, which is produced, say for example, mostly the tomato which have a maximum of lycopene. It's a pigment which is having a strong antioxidant capability. Antioxidant in the sense, yeah, whatever the free radicals which will be generated in the body, that is not good for our health, right? If it is made with the particular pigment in a nano form, and now it becomes into what is that? More promising nutraceuticals when compared to that of taking a lycopene as such raw or something like that. That is what I want to say here. And of course that in the emulsion techniques, as I said already, and of course the calcium and all magnesium, these all used for stable and sustained release. And of course the product have been lodged, and now it is under practices or something like that. And when you see into the this what is that, the composite material on the contact surfaces, the people were using the silver ceramic for hardness and strength, and nanoclave they again the hardness and strength, and any other the nano composites which may prevent your oxygen, so that it will what is that, it will improve your food, and ultimately the food value is also getting increased. Oh, so now the people and started utilizing sorry, started using a good food, right? So because of a maximum of adulterations have been seen in kind of things. And apart from the things, of course there's a kind of sensors where maybe gas sensors or some other the particular chemical sensors which is more prevalently seen in kind of adulterations, say in a particular food or something like that. They make such kind of adulterations that can be just by scanning, or the sensitivity is too good by just sensing those materials. So in that aspects also the people are doing the work towards that. And of course the companies were also doing such kind of practices. And apart from that, the nanomedicine, you may be seeing that nanomedicine most of the people in your what is that in your the course, most of them may be speaking about the cancer and other things, no? So mostly it may be of what is that what is that it may be of either the therapy or the diagnostic or preventing or drug delivery or sustained release or whatever it is. My opinion about the any kind of disease or whatever the things, obviously the prevention is better, right? So to prevent them unwantedly, why should we go for other treatment for the cancer or something like that? Because the cancer or the kind of disease which is kindly mostly related to that of a lifestyle. Apart from other things, there are so many other factors were influencing on making such kind of things. But still, the mostly it is influenced by the lifestyle. So when you want to change in kind of a thing, so that what happens is you can also what is that? You can do it in a prevention aspects or something like that. I believe in a prevention of any kind of things, right? So that is what I want to say here. And look at here, you may be well aware of the mask. Mask is inevitable now. For past 4 than 10 months onwards, we have been seeing all kind of, we forget our face. And of course, it is overutilizable in nowadays scenario. And of course, the mask itself, you may be seen a surgical mask. You may be, I mean, what is? You may be heard about the surgical mask and N95 and other various different type of mask you've been seeing. And now on the roadsides itself, many masks are selling, and ultimately, whatever the things it sells on the roadside, it will be having all your dust particles, and ultimately we are going to wear it all, something like that. No, that is jokes apart. But point is that this nano fibrous material were being used for making kind of a mask, because the prevention from the present scenario, COVID-19, right? So now the people have been using this kind of a mask, so to prevent from the hard viruses or something like that. Not only the hard viruses, obviously it may be indirectly helpful in aerosols or the particulate matters we have been seen in the atmosphere that may not be go inside. And apart from that, the what is that occupational area, those people may be more prevalently or susceptible in what is that breathing of all kind of different chemical materials seen in the indoor environment, no? So that can also be prevented by using this mask, right? So what is the ultimate aim of the nano mask by creating, what is that? It should be a breathable one, and ultimately that can be done, that can be thing. And some kind of nano materials, of course the fibers, no? So because it's what is that, the fabric, it's going to be impregnated in the mask, mask, no, the center part or something like that. There's nothing but the filter, right? It's going to be filter your whatever the particles stays in the environment, or stays in the indoor environment or outdoor environment or something like that. Suppose you just think out that that's a COVID-19 virus or something like that. So what now we may be seeing that nano filter, it can be a capable one, since it is having a large surface area. So what happens is the capturing material can be a very faster when compared to that of micron things, micron sized or something like that. So that it can be easily intrude, translocated through the filter, right? That can be possible, percolated into the filters or something like that. And of course, apart from that, the nanofibers which will be effectively in making of high permeability. High permeability in the sense, it can also permeate your air without any issues, and ultimately, which the contents of nanomaterials can be very easy. And of course, and apart from that, what is that? Because of impregnation of any other nano materials which is having a pathogenic effect, say for example, antipathogenic effect, in the sense when against to the infection. So if you are sneezing or somehow, it will be retained in the filter, whatever the droplets, it will be filtered in the mask. And ultimately what happens is when you treat it with that of any kind of nanoparticles, so it will generate your things. What is that? the activity against the particular organism, it's going to be done. I mean, the pathogen is going to be died. So ultimately, it gives you the protection, and of course, well wearable. Of course, it is a less weightable since it is a nano form. Not only the nano, mostly it is can be a feasible material, nano feasible material that can be readily utilized in the mask, and most of the companies who have been now doing this kind of nano mask protection or something like that, right? And of course, and then ultimately we can use it for a long time. That is also one of the important application about the things. So unnecessarily buying a new masters, and when you use a kind of surgical mask, nothing is going to be done. It is not going to filter anything, right? It's just going to be withstands the splashes, whatever the thing that from the mouth, or you can prevent some kind of splashes. But ultimately, there won't be kind of filtering or filtering mechanism in the mask of ordinary other masks or something like that. And of course, the Nano Life, I mean, is a company. It's now the people have started utilizing the production of sanitizer with the help of this. What is that? Silver nanoparticles. So it is nothing but it is still it is in a T Nagar. It's a small company. It is a small company. I didn't know that it's a small or big one. But still, those organisms. I mean, sorry, those companies have been utilizing this kind of sanitizers. Ultimately, which maybe serves very well during this current scenario, right? So even I do have the things that may be which will be helpful in preventing the viral infections by just sanitizing your things. And other factors is also there. Then that is apart. There is some kind of a delimits with that of utilizing this kind of silver nanoparticles is apart. But still, the people have started a small company. They may be utilizing this kind of a silver nanoparticles and come out with a product. That is a ultimate story of it, right? So the people have that much reach. The people have about the nanoscience and nanotechnology is now inevitable. And apart from that, as I said previously, no, the prevention medicine is ultimate one when compared to that of all other things, no. So the nanoscience, which is ultimately which directs towards the theranostics, say for example, therapy and diagnosing, diagnosing and drug delivery and all many different type of things have been maybe under practice to prevent the cancer and other diseases and all those things. Most of the people who work in nanoscience, they may be fond of doing a research under the cancer or something like that. Even I do have the same passion, but still I believe in the preventive nanomedicine. So that is what I understood from uh, things from based on the nano things. So keeping in that mind, I tried whatever the thing that the coming slides little bit I have started initiated work towards it by just making a preventive nanomedicine or something like that. In what way? In the sense, as Sarah has introduced me as an algologist, I work with an algae. You maybe heard about the algae. Obviously, most of them maybe heard about the spirulina, or most of them maybe heard about chlamydomonas, right? This is all microscopic algae. So it is just not a naked way. It is about the size is about what is that? Some few microns, 10 to 100, sorry, 10 to 30 or something like that. Whereas it shows a various structures just for an viewable for you purpose to see that one. This is said to be as some kind of organism which is Dunaliella salna, which is producing high of beta carotene. Beta carotene is nothing but the precursor of vitamin A, which is which is most useful for what is that? For considered to be as an antioxidant, and it is used for nutraceutical aspects. And of course, the Hematococcus maybe is in a microalgae. This algae, which is able to produce astaxanthin as a pigment, those pigment which is serves what is that? Strongest, more potent than that of this beta carotene or something like that. And likewise, each and every organism has its own potential because of time restriction. the things. And of course, apart from that, the algae, you can see that it's a microalgae, the previous slide, whereas the algae can be a macroalgae. You maybe happen to see when you go to the seashores, right? Seashore, you can see such kind of like plant-like materials that flows on the surface of the water, or sometimes it may be stick onto the rocky shores, rocky environment, or it can be spilled or fragmented out of the thing, and it can be stored in a soil, stay away from the water and stores in a soil or something like that. No, these all is considered to be as a macroalgae. Actually, to give an introduction about the algae, you know that it's a primary energy producers. It is the one which is can be generate more than 50% of oxygen in the atmosphere, right? Since it is a photosynthetic one, right? Ultimately, because it stays everywhere all around the world. It starts from a high, very strong adverse environment like hot volcanoes or hot springs or some other environment like snow covers everywhere. Because of its the wide occurrence, it can able to synthesize various different biochemicals in it. Biochemicals which will be very helpful, right? So for the purpose of the humankind, or it can be served for some other things, for like feed or something like that, right? So likewise, as I said, this both microalgae and macroalgae which can able to produce high amount of nutrition aspects and bioactive compounds. So look at here, some of the compounds can be generated or produced by this few algae, this beta carotene, as I said already, astaxanthin and lutein. And of course, you may be heard about the polyunsaturated fatty acids. Say, for example, docosahexaenic acid, as you see in the Horlicks advertisement. It is very most helpful for brain development or something like that, right? Mostly the PUFA, which is essential for the young children to for their brain development or something like that. And apart from that, the other metabolites like small proteins may also be very useful. And of course, apart from that, the secondary metabolites like phenolic compounds and some kind of other sulfated polysaccharides from macroalgae, these all things having a potential health benefits. East was already recorded, and some of them are all commercially involved in production, all such kind of things, and which is having a various cardiovascular benefits and anti-cancer, antioxidant. By keeping in this mind, these much health benefits were seen in this kind of algae. What is the net purpose, right? It should be exactly converted into a good product, no? So that is our main aim, right? See, this is a commercial application, just to show off simply. The carotene or phycoerythrin, these all have been produced from different algae, and companies were doing that one. But what is the point of it? Look at here, some kind of compounds are still in queue for commercialization. This like vilazanthin, these are the compound, and some kind of the lutein is a pigment which is a strong antioxidant, and some kind of this what is that, cyclopanes, which is having a strong UV absorption, like what we have seen in kind of um, what is that in the cosmetic sunscreen lotion or something like that, because these all things have been exposed to the environment. So those kind of algae are able to produce a huge number of different compounds, and of course those compounds are slowly gets what is that changed into other forms. Changed into the other forms in the sense, a normal compound can be utilizable well by just utilizing the nanoscience background. So what does it means? I mean to say that many different type of bioactive compounds were there produced by algae, and of course many compounds were there, and ultimately it does not serve well, because as you know, whatever if I say like this, you take food, right? You just taking food, and ultimately the food which will be going into the stomach and reaches your intestine and absorbed into the body and reaches your bloodstream, right? This is what going to be happens, right? So what happens is this what is that, the whatever the nutrients which is absorbed into the body may not be in sufficient position to reach your, what is that, reach your bloodstream. That is called as a bioavailability. Say for example, look at here picture, whatever you drug, you just apart from anything, you just consider either it's a drug or it's a food or something like that. You take your food, it reaches your intestine and reaches your liver. Liver, what is the function of the liver? It gets detoxifies it. It detoxifies it, and ultimately it reduces the content of any kind of a drug which reaches your bloodstream very less. By the remaining all things will be come out as a excrete or something like that. But whatever the drug, it is having a high potential or which is showing a huge number of values, high value compounds and all those things, ultimately it does not serve well because of poor bioavailability. And apart from that, instability of the particular compound obtained from any source. You just forget about the algae or something like that. It may be of any source. And of course, the poor water solubility. And some kind of compound may have a different thing, and either it may be of lipid soluble or something like that. No, so these are all the things which will be which is having limitations of bioactive compounds. Excuse me. And this is called the first metabolism, as I said. No, so it reaches whatever the drugs or whatever the nutrients which will reach your bloodstream is very less. When it reaches when the increase of what is that compound into the circulation, that will enhance your health aspects, health prospects, right? When it reaches your blood circulation or something like that, then definitely it will increase your health, and it shows you the sustainable health aspects or something like that. That to address these kind of issues, these nano materials are nowadays under practices. You can reduce your size, or you can alter your shape of any kind of material, or you just functionalize on the surface of any kind of nano material, so that that can be adhere on the top, and those material can be filled into the tube or something like that, so that that is also can be easily deliverable one. Okay, so when you think of the same thing, of course, maybe of a metal nanoparticles, oxide nanoparticles, and so other organic or inorganic nanoparticles are there still, but still the conditions apply if you use for health aspects. Say for example, if you want to use it for nutraceutical aspects or something like that. So this is considered to be as a what is that? The whatever the material that we are going to take out, it should be a biodegradable one and biocompatible one, right? So either it may be of a, what is that? It may be of a starch, since it is a polymer one, and of course it's organic, and it's biodegradable and biocompatible. And of course the alginate is also under practices, and of course the chitosan. Apart from the natural biodegradable polymer, and of course now the people have started using the synthetic polymer also, but still it is biocompatible. But however, the natural is natural, and natural biodegradable polymer is always be advisable, because this chitosan itself, say for example, I choose chitosan here whenever I do kind of work, you know. So the ideal polymer, which is should be of biocompatible and biodegradable and non-toxic, and it should have some kind of antimicrobial property, and of course the charge characters and cell wall permeability. So to keeping in this all mind, I chose this chitosan, maybe ideal one for delivering whatever the compound that I chose or that I obtained from algae or something like that. So what is the mechanism out of it, or what I am looking for it here is either the chitosan you just take up, and you can add on your drug by making the nano capsule or nanospheres. You know that you may be filling all your materials or encapsulate it or entrapped at it, or otherwise you just adhering your what is that, whatever the materials on the surface of the chitosan particles, that can be possible, right? And apart from that, either it may be of a nanosphere. So either you can what is that, impregnated with all your materials via the the drugs or whatever the compound what you are looking for. Either you can also go for the adsorption within the same nanosphere or something like that. So you know that the chitosan nanoparticles have a tendency to reach your bloodstreams. So it may, as I said already, the first pass metabolism. It will transfer, or it will traverse to the in the cells, right? It may be transferring to the liver cells, and ultimately the maximum efficiency of what is that? Uh, the content, the release of materials, because it can escape from the cells very easily, so that it will reach your bloodstream. That is our main aim, no? So that it has to reach your bloodstream, so that it can stay in the bloodstream for a long time. So it shows its own function. The characteristic function may be things. And of course, here this in between gap you can go inside to it, between the cells, right? The paracellular and transcellular. Either it can transfer through the cell, or it can go through, I mean, what is the in between gap between the cells, and of course, or otherwise it can be carried based on the carrier. It can also reach, and ultimately it reaches to the blood, right? The lymph or something like that. When it stays for a long time, so it is our worthy. Based upon the natural, what is that? The feasibility, based upon the feasibility, like diffusion, swelling, and erosion may happen, and it releases your drug slowly, and it can prevent your what is that? It can act as an antioxidant, or it can prevent your the cancer activity, or sometimes it may, if it is a potent drug, it can also treat your cancers in an early stage itself. So likewise, the application is extending. So likewise, the people have done such kind of experiments by just keeping it for the lutein. Lutein is a compound, right? So which is maybe obtained from some other material, some other source like plants or something like that. And what they do is with they encapsulated this low molecular weight chitosan with that of a lutein, and ultimately they can find that the increase of bioavailability of these drugs into the plasma, as you know, that the water body of a blood, and the liver. The liver is also, we can see that various kind of nano capsulated materials are seen. And of course, eyes, since it is a lutein and the pigment, the carotene will be reach your eyes. That is what they want to see. They say accordingly. Likewise, you can increase your bioavailability, and it can enhance your property too. To make it minimize, you just take less and gain more nutrients. The people have started using this nano-sized encapsulation to make nutrients more easily, and absorption. See, when you take orally, no, so that is a concept behind it. By for all the drugs, you cannot insert, I mean, through intravenous or something like that. So that is what, because it is in a health supplement, or it is considered to be as a food material, considered to be as a nutraceuticals. So this is what we are attempting. Whatever the compound which is obtaining from the microalgae or macroalgae, that can be converted, or it can be utilizable in a apt way by just utilizing the nanoscience, and I thought of making such kind of a products. Whatever the products available without the kind of what is that, nano orient or something like that. I thought of things of making this kind of. And of course, the Novocel's company is almost already done with that of curcumin and vitamins, and of course the coenzymes like fatty acids, and which can be used by the many companies. So they make such kind of what is that, liposomes. As I told, no. So of course, the liposomes is also one of the carrier or material or something like that. No, it can be used for things. But lipid is ultimately, it may not be useful for us, right? Because it can increase your other scenario like cholesterol and all those things by continuous intake or something like that. So to avoid those things, the polymer can be a right choice. And of course, it can be, what is that, the resistant starch. That can be a resistant starch. So that's why I chosen that one. Okay. And apart from that, just that's all about the presentation. So here, just I want to make you to provoke your thoughts towards the research aspects. Like you may be seeing various different type of labs who have been seen in all over India. So starting from DST, and there people have been enormously working in the nanoscience and nanotechnology activities. So, and of course, they are most of them are been in what is that? The sponsoring huge number of projects and huge number of things. And of course, if you are really competing enough to come out with kind of a good product or something like that, you can also associate with the sponsoring agents, and you have option to go collaboration with that of government and biotechnology can be combined with that one, so that you can come out with kind of a product or something like that, or you can initiate your entrepreneurship in that way. Okay, really, if you are interested, come out with a good product, and you can make use of it. That is what I, I want to say here. And of course, apart from that, even the agriculture aspects and all those things, many other institutes, they have been strongly using this kind of what is that nanoscience and nanotechnology in various fields. And many of the universities, like starting from our university and extends all over other across other countries, it is using various different kind of things, works that going on. So that is what I want to say here. And of course, various different courses are available in case if you are looking for future higher studies, or what is that, even a B nanotechnology has come. See, look at here at Mangalore, and MTech nanotechnology is already there in your institute. And so this makes us to understand that nanoscience was really important for the future perspectives. That is what. And of course, across a country, you see that various different states were strongly involved in kind of what is that nanoscience and nanotechnology research. So starting from if you look at the Tamil Nadu, apart from other rest of other what is that other states. So you mean to say that Tamil Nadu plays a major role in conducting such kind of research and come out with the great publications. And of course, the people have started what is that the patenting too, and most of them are from the South India, right? Apart from other things, so that is very obvious. That is what. And of course, very small startup companies and small, I mean, what is that? The neighbor countries have been initiated towards to do kind of work in a nanoscience and nanotechnology, and they come out with a good product, and ultimately you become a millionaire. Ultimately, that is what things, because the necessity and need is most importantly needed. That is what the scope of nanoscience is still emerging, and it is keep on growing as well. So that is what the take home message to you. So kindly bear with me for the passion listening. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Jayappriyan sir, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Students, you may interact with the speaker for if you have any queries.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Yeah, please, good evening.
Sir, you told about the
Yeah.
food thing, the nano used in food products. If we consume that
Yes.
food daily, won't it cause any problem like harmful to the our health, something like that?
You mean to say about the food packaging or
No,
food
if we use nano in food
nano?
products.
Yes, yes. Actually, you see, every product has its own, what is that, the feasibility. So it should not, the content is very most important, right? So if you kind of, so if you are using that much, what is that? Obviously, no, whatever the product available in a market, you should not take much more, right? That we are just the sense everything too much is good for nothing. So that is what. But whatever the thing, they may be prescribing such kind of intake. So the intake in the sense this may has this much things, nanosomes or nano liposomes or whatever it is contains or something like that. You should take this much dosage as because it's a sustainable food, because it falls under the medical aspects, no. So obviously the company has to recommend the particular dosage of intake. The dosage in the sense I mean to say that whatever the items. So that is most important. If you take it as a rarely, that is not an issue, because since it is a nutrient only, no. If it is if you want to take up, say for example, the beta carotene as I showed, no. If you take much beta carotene, a report says that the beta carotene which paved the way to go for a cancer induction, that is also there. But so accordingly, the intake of material that can be prescribed by the company who is going to sell. As you asked, taking much is always harmful. Taking optimum way is always better.